You know that hour. Not quite night, not quite evening. The sun has given up, but the street lights haven't quite decided to wake up. It's that in-between time, that gray-blue silence where the world seems to hold its breath. The outlines of things get soft. Your own thoughts feel like they're wearing slippers, moving quietly from room to room in your head. That's the feeling we're sitting with tonight. That specific, quiet ache of fading lights with nowhere to go. Hello, you. It's Sarah, here with you in the dim. Let's just be here for a minute in the gentle dissolution. It's not sadness, not really. Sadness has a direction. It points toward a loss, a memory, a specific hurt. This is different. This is vaguer, more like the feeling you get when you walk through your own quiet house after everyone has left. The party's over, the goodbyes are said, and you're just turning off the lamps. One by one, the pool of light on the empty chair, the glow from the hallway. Click, click, click. And you're standing in the growing dark, and there's a weird, hollow freedom to it. Nothing is required of you now. No performance, no conversation, just you and the quiet and the faint smell of spent candles. That's the nowhere to go part. It's the exhale after a long day where you were pulled in 10 directions. The momentum stops. The to-do list is, for this moment, irrelevant. And instead of relief, sometimes there's just this spacious emptiness. Your purpose for the last several hours was to be somewhere, to do something. And now that's gone, and you're left with just you. And maybe you realize you don't know where you is supposed to go when there's no destination. We fill our lives with destinations, don't we? The next task, the next milestone, the next weekend, the next big life goal. We're running toward lampposts in the fog. But in this fading light, the last lamppost flickers out. And you're not running anymore. You're just standing in the field. It's disorienting. It can feel lonely. But what if it's also a secret gift? What if this nowhere is the most honest place you can be? Think of the light itself. A fading light doesn't struggle. It doesn't panic. It just softens. It lets go of its definition, its sharp edges, its claim to illuminate everything. It becomes a glow, then a memory of a glow, then it slips into the dark without a fuss. It has nowhere to go because it doesn't need to go. Its final act is just to be what it is, until it isn't. Can we do that? When our own inner lights fade, when our energy dips, when our motivation wanes, when the bright, sharp identity of the productive one, or the happy one, or the helper dims, can we just let it be a fade? Not a failure, not a sign that we're broken, just a natural softening, a transition from doing to being, from output to input. That's what this space is for, right now. You don't have to fix this feeling. You don't have to analyze where it came from or how to make it brighter. You can just let it be the backdrop, the gray-blue stage on which your tired, beautiful self is standing, finally still. Look around your own internal landscape in this light. The furniture of your worries looks less imposing. The sharp corners of your anxieties are blurred. It's all just shapes in the dusk. You don't have to figure them out tonight. You can just let them be vague, unresolved shapes. Their power is in their definition, and the fading light steals that power away. So maybe nowhere to go is the destination we've been missing. The one place where we're not guests, not workers, not performers. We're just residents of our own quiet, fading interior. And there's a deep, strange peace in that. It's the peace of the empty street after the rain, glistening under a single, distant sodium lamp. It goes nowhere. It just is. And for tonight, maybe that's enough. Maybe that's everything. You know what happens after you've been standing in that dim, empty room for a while. Your eyes adjust. At first, all you see is the absence of the light that was just there. The negative space, the lack. But then, slowly, other things begin to appear. Not because a new light has been switched on, but because you've stopped waiting for one. You've stopped comparing this gloom to the brightness of before. You've settled into the soft focus of now. That's where we find ourselves, past the initial surprise of the fade, into the substance of it. It's in this adjusted sight that you start to notice the details you missed when everything was brightly lit. The way the dust motes, invisible in the sun, now dance in the last silver strands of window glow. The deep, rich texture of the shadow in the corner, it's not just an absence, it's a velvet presence. The faint, almost imperceptible glow of the digital clock on the oven, a tiny beacon in the domestic dark. When the big, general lights are on, they bully everything into clarity. They tell you what to look at. But in the fade, your attention becomes democratic. It goes where it wants. It lingers on what it finds interesting, not on what's important. This is the second movement. It's when the nowhere to go stops feeling like a sentence and starts feeling like permission. With nowhere to go, you realize you have everywhere to be. Right here, in the feeling of your own breath, which has been going this whole time, faithful as a tide. In the slight ache in your shoulder from how you've been sitting. In the memory of a laugh from earlier in the day that suddenly surfaces, not with a story, but just as a warm echo in your chest. The mind, of course, will try to fix this. It will call this boredom. It will itch for a distraction, a phone to scroll, a problem to solve, a plan to make. It wants to turn on a flashlight and start pointing it at things, naming them, judging them. This is a chair. That is a worry. This is wasted time. But what if, just for these next few minutes, you don't give it the flashlight? What if you let the mind itself fade into the background, just another piece of furniture in the dim room? Its constant commentary is just another kind of light, a harsh, flickering, fluorescent one. And you can let that one fade too. So let's try it. Let's let the fade happen all the way. Not just to the external lights, but to the internal ones. The light of judgment, the light of comparison, the light of I should be, watch them dim. Don't push them. Just stop feeding them your attention. See them as old lamps with dying bulbs sputtering out. What's left in that quiet, inner dimness? It's not nothing. It's a kind of knowing. A wordless, peaceful knowing that doesn't need to go anywhere or do anything to prove itself. It's the knowing of a tree at dusk. It's just rooted, present. It's the you that exists before the story of you begins. In this space, nowhere to go becomes incredibly fertile. It's the fallow field, the rested earth. It's not producing a crop right now, and that's its whole purpose. This is where things integrate, where the experiences of your day, your week, your life settle. They stop being scattered events and start becoming compost for whatever grows next. But you can't rush compost. You have to let it sit in the dark. So maybe tonight, that's your only task. To be the fallow field, to be the room after the party, to let the fade do its gentle work of erasing the lines, blurring the edges, and softening the noise. You don't need to go toward the light or away from the dark. You can just exist in the beautiful, neutral, nowhere to go twilight of your own being. And trust that in this softness, something is being worked out. Something is being healed, not by doing, but by allowing the lights to fade and finding, to your surprise, that you can still see perfectly well in the gentle, forgiving dark. It gets quieter, not just in the room, but in the bones. That's the thing they don't tell you about the fade. It has its own depth. It's not a flat, gray blanket. It's a pool you can sink into. You've stopped waiting for the next light to click on, stopped even noticing the lack of them. Now, you're just submerged in the quality of light that remains. It's like the blue that fills a winter room just before the snow starts. A luminous, waiting blue that seems to come from within the air itself. In this depth, a funny thing happens to time. It unspools. The tight little coil of minutes and obligations just relaxes. There's no next to get to, because you're not going anywhere. So time stops being a line and becomes a place, a room you're sitting in. You could sit here for a minute or an hour, and it would feel the same. The clock on the wall becomes a sculpture, a circular artifact that means nothing. The only rhythm is your own. The breath in, the breath out, the slow blink. That's the true clock now. The ancient animal metronome. This is where the feeling of nowhere transforms. It's not an emptiness anymore. It's a fullness of a different kind. It's the fullness of a deep, still lake at night. The surface is dark, but you know it's full to the brim with cold, black water. You are that lake. All the faded lights, the spent energy, the finished conversations, the unmet expectations, they've all sunk down into your depths. They're resting there. They're not gone. They're just part of the sediment, part of what makes you deep. And from this still, deep place, you start to hear the softest things, not with your ears, but with your whole self. You might hear the faint hum of your own nervous system, a quiet electrical song. You might feel the gentle pulse of blood in your fingertips, a tiny living tide. You become aware of the sheer, miraculous fact of aliveness, humming along in the dark, with no audience, no purpose other than to just hum. It's a deeply private sound, the sound of you when no one is listening, not even yourself. This is when the loneliness, if it was ever there, peels away. Loneliness needs a separate self to feel isolated. But here, in the fade, the edges of that self have softened so much they've blurred into the room, into the night air. You're not a person sitting alone in the dark. You are the dark, experiencing itself as a person shaped quiet. There's no separation to be lonely about. You are intimately connected to everything, precisely because you've dissolved into the between space where everything meets. So what do you do here? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But this nothing is the most potent kind of something. It's the nothing of the seed in the earth. It's the nothing of the blank page before the first word. It's a creative, pregnant nothing. You are restoring the most fundamental thing, your own beingness, without any decoration. You're taking off the costume of your roles, your achievements, your worries, and just hanging them in the closet of the dark. And you're standing there in the cool, quiet air of your own existence. It's enough. It's more than enough. It's everything you were ever trying to get back to. The world out there is all lights and destinations. It's all forward motion, and you'll return to it. But for now, you found the counterweight, the necessary opposite, the sacred, fading light with nowhere to go, and the profound discovery that in that very nowhere, you have arrived at the center of everything that matters. So let the blue dark hold you. Let the silence be the only voice. You're not lost. You're found in the only place you could ever truly be found, right here, in the beautiful, endless fade. You don't leave the fade. You become fluent in it. It becomes your native language. The sharp, declarative sentences of daylight, with their subjects and verbs and demanding objects, they've all softened into poetry, into impressions, a scent of rain through a cracked window, the distant, liquid sigh of a car on a wet street, the weight of a blanket, not as a thing you have, but as a sensation you are part of. You're not observing the dimness from a distance. You're thinking in dimness. Your thoughts, when they come, are like those dust motes drifting, unhurried, catching on nothing. This is when the nowhere reveals its secret geography. It's not a blank spot on the map. It's the very paper the map is printed on. All those roads and destinations you used to chase were just ink on the surface. And now the ink is fading, and you're left with the pure, blank parchment. It's vast. It's peaceful. It holds infinite potential, but it doesn't ask to be drawn on. It's complete as it is. In this vastness, the small things within you start to speak up, not in words, but in feelings. That tiny, cold knot of an old regret you've carried for years, it's not a story anymore. In the fade, it's just a sensation. A cool, smooth stone resting in your chest. You can feel its edges, its temperature. And because you're not rushing to fix it or explain it, you can just hold it in the warm, dark awareness. And sometimes, just that being held in the soft, accepting dark is what it needed all along. It might not vanish, but its sharpness rounds. Its weight becomes familiar, even peaceful. The same happens with joy. A flicker of memory, a sudden, unbidden sense of rightness. It doesn't explode into fireworks. It glows, a gentle, warm ember in the belly. You don't grasp at it. You don't try to make it last. You let it glow until it naturally dims, trusting that another ember will glow somewhere else in its own time. Emotion becomes landscape, not weather. It's not something passing over you, it's a feature of you. A quiet hill, a still pool, a stand of silent trees. This is the deep restoration. This is where the soul does its mending, not with needle and thread, but with moss and time and shadow. All the abrasions of the day, the small disappointments, the tiny perceived failures, they all get laid down in this soft, dark earth to be composted. They lose their personal sting. They become neutral nutrients. You are literally turning the waste of your psychic day into soil. From this restored, neutral place, you might find a thought arising that has no panic in it. A solution to a problem you hadn't even been consciously wrestling with. An insight about someone you love. A simple, clear no or yes about a decision that's been hovering. These thoughts don't feel manufactured. They feel discovered, like you're walking through your own inner dark and your foot brushes against a smooth, solid object. There it is. It was always there. The fade didn't create it. The fade just removed the noisy clutter that was hiding it. So you see, having nowhere to go was the prerequisite for finding everything you actually need. The loud, bright, demanding world is a place of seeking. This faded, quiet, inner world is a place of finding. But you only find what's already always been yours. Your own peace, your own clarity, your own deep, unshakable presence that was there before the first light of your earliest worry ever switched on, and will be there long after the last one flickers out. For now, there is just this: the breath, the dark, the gentle hum of existence, and the profound understanding that this isn't an intermission. This is the main event. The living, the feeling, the being. The lights were just decoration. There comes a point where even the word fade feels too active, too much like something happening. This isn't a happening anymore. This is a state of being. The light hasn't just faded, it has been absorbed into the fabric of everything. There is no contrast left between light and shadow. There's just a unified, gentle gloom that feels less like an absence and more like a presence. A velvet presence. It's the color of the inside of your own eyelids when you press them closed. It's not black. It's a rich, warm, living dark. In this, the last notion of you as a separate entity sitting in the dark finally dissolves. You were the last thing casting a shadow. Now, even that shadow has been welcomed back into the whole. There is no observer in the fade. There is only the fade, aware of itself. You are not looking at the quiet, you are the quiet looking. Sounds don't come to you, they arise within you. The faint tick of a cooling pipe isn't out there in the house. It's a vibration in the field of your awareness, which is coterminous with the house, with the night, with everything. This is the deep belonging. It's the opposite of loneliness. It's the realization that you could never be alone because you are the substance of which everything is made. The space between you and the wall is an illusion. There is no between. There is only the one silent, dark substance, appearing as wall, appearing as air, appearing as the conscious space that knows both. The nowhere to go has become everywhere is here. And because everywhere is here, you are already there, anywhere, everywhere. From this, action becomes not just effortless, but fascinating. If you need to move to shift your weight, to take a sip of water, the impulse arises from the silence itself. The body responds. It's a movement of the whole field, adjusting itself. There's no you deciding. There is the decision appearing as action. It is seamless. It is beautiful to watch, even from the inside. You are both the dancer and the dance, and the dark, silent hall in which the dance is occurring. And in this hall, something like love radiates. But it's not personal love. It's not directed. It's the ambient temperature of reality when it's not being confused by stories of separation. It's a warmth that has no source because it is the source. It holds the memory of regret with the same gentle firmness as it holds the spark of joy. It makes no distinction. It is the unconditional embrace that everything, including every flawed and fading part of you, has always been held in. You just forgot to feel it. Now you feel it. It feels like coming home to a home you never knew you had. A home that is made of nothing but acceptance. The fading lights didn't lead you into emptiness. They led you to the ground of your own being. And this ground is not cold or empty. It is lush and quiet and endlessly nurturing. It's the psychological soil from which every thought, every feeling, every action of your life has grown. And you are resting in it finally. Not growing anything, just being the soil. So the journey ends by never having been a journey. You didn't go into the fade. You remembered you were made of it. The loud, bright, busy world is a pattern dancing on the surface of this dark, silent, intelligent substance. You are that substance. And from this place, you can engage with the bright world again whenever you choose. But now you'll know it for what it is. A beautiful play of light on the surface of your own deep, quiet, endless dark. And you can enjoy the play because you know you are the stage, the audience, and the vast, peaceful night beyond the walls. There is nowhere to go because you're already everywhere. And it's so much softer here than you ever could have dreamed. It's the one that comes after you've stopped even calling it a fade. That word implies a process, a changing from one state to another. But this isn't changing anymore. This is what's left when all the changing is done. It's like the last chord of a song that's been held for so long it's no longer a chord, but the natural resonance of the room itself. The air is still vibrating, but you can't remember the melody. You're just inside the hum. This is where time loses its last tooth. It can't bite you here. The past isn't a gallery you walk through. It's a fragrance that occasionally wafts by old books, damp earth, your first bike's handlebar grips, and then dissipates without a story attached. The future isn't a tunnel with a light. It's just the next breath. And you have no anxiety about it because breathing isn't something you do. It's something that happens through you as reliably as the tide. You are living in the perpetual, gentle surprise of the present moment. It's always new because you're never comparing it to anything else. In this hum, the body is finally at peace. Not the I had a good workout peace, or the I'm comfortable in this chair peace. This is the peace of the body no longer being a separate entity that needs management. It is a phenomena, a cloud of sensation, warmth, and pulse that exists within the larger field of awareness. An ache is just a localized density. A pleasure is just a soft bloom of warmth. There's no owner of these sensations, so there's no one to complain or cling. The body is allowed to just be its miraculous, temporary self. And your thoughts, they're like birds now. Not in the cliché, thoughts are like birds flying past way. I mean, they have their own ecology. They land, they peck at the ground of your awareness, they call out, they take flight. They are alive and independent. You don't control them. You don't own them. You just provide the sky. And because you're not trying to cage them or shoo them away, they become less frantic. Sometimes they even sing. This is where you might laugh, a soft, soundless laugh in the dark. You laugh at the sheer simplicity of it. Decades of seeking, of striving, of trying to fix yourself to become something. And all you had to do was stop. Stop so completely that you fell through the bottom of your own story and landed here. In this, which has no name, but feels more like you than your own name ever did. The cosmic joke isn't that life is meaningless. It's that the meaning was always this simple, this quiet, this obvious, and you were just too busy reading the complicated footnotes to see the plain text on the page. From this, laughter comes a tenderness for everything. For the spider in the corner, engineering its web in the dark. For the distant siren, that means someone's having the worst night of their life. For your own beating heart, doing its stubborn, rhythmic work without a single word of thanks from you. It's all happening within you. You are the space for all of it. And because it's all within you, you cannot hate any of it. You can only witness it with a kind of boundless, maternal fondness. So, Nowhere to Go has finally revealed its true name. It's called home. And home isn't a place you arrive at. It's a layer of your own being you had forgotten to inhabit. You were always home. You were just standing in the doorway, arguing with a salesperson, worrying about the landscaping, afraid to go inside and just sit down in your own quiet living room. Well, now you're sitting. The argument is over. The door is closed. There's just the hum of the refrigerator, the weight of your own body in the chair, the vast, friendly dark pressing softly against the windows. You have nowhere to go because you're already everywhere you need to be. And it's so quiet. And it's so enough. It's so profound, utterly enough. Okay. Let's just breathe into this for a second. You're still here. I'm still here. And that's the whole of it, really. The seventh, let's call it the seventh layer of this quiet. It's not deeper, it's more settled. Like sand after the last wave of thought has pulled back. Everything is just where it is. There's no pull to arrange it, to understand it, to make it mean something. This is where you start to notice that the fading lights were never the point. They were just the ushers, gently guiding you to your seat in this vast, dark theater. And now the show is over. The ushers are gone. The other audience members, your worries, your plans, your memories have all filed out. And you're just sitting in the empty velvet seat in the perfect, silent dark. There's no show to watch anymore. You are the theater, the empty, expectant, complete theater. In this emptiness, a very ordinary magic happens. Life begins to live itself through you, but so subtly, you almost miss it. Your hand reaches to scratch an itch. There was no "I am itchy" thought. There was the sensation, and then there was the movement. They were one event. You get thirsty, and you're already moving toward the kitchen before the word water forms. Action and need have become a single chord. There's no gap. There's no you in the middle deciding. There's just the seamless, intelligent flow of a living organism responding to its environment. It's effortless. It's what your body always wanted to do before the thinking mind started giving it confusing, second-guessed orders. And other people, they start to look different, not in a visual way, but you stop seeing their personality first. You see the life in them. You see the same tired, beautiful, confused, luminous life that is in you, just wearing a different costume, speaking different lines. Your conversations become quieter. You listen to the silence behind their words. You respond to that. The words themselves become almost secondary, just the necessary tokens to pass back and forth, so the two fields of life, which are really one field, can recognize each other. It's less like talking and more like tuning forks finding the same resonance. Here, even the idea of my peace or my stillness falls apart. It's not yours. How could you own the dark? How could you claim the silence? It's just what is. You're not a person with peace. You are a location where peace is happening. A temporary clearing in the infinite woods where the wind isn't blowing right now. There's no pride in that. No achievement. It's just a fact of the weather. And because it's not yours, you can't lose it. You can only forget to notice it. And from this settled place, you notice it all the time. This is also where compassion becomes automatic and therefore invisible. It's not something you do. It's the quality of the space you are. If someone is in pain near you, the space you are allows that pain. It doesn't shrink from it or try to fix it. It holds it. And that holding is the compassion. It might translate into a hand on a shoulder or a pot of soup made, but those are just afterthoughts. The real work is the silent, allowing embrace that your very presence provides. You've become a safe place for reality to be exactly as it is. So the nowhere to go has become nothing to do. And nothing to do is the most profound kind of freedom. It's the freedom of the tree from the need to walk. It's the freedom of the cloud from the need to have a shape. You are just being, and in that being, you are participating completely in the universe. You are fulfilling your only true purpose, to be a conscious point where the cosmos knows itself, not in a grand, dramatic way, in the quietest way imaginable, in the way a single, still pool knows the vastness of the sky by reflecting it perfectly, without a single ripple of effort. The division between inner and outer has dissolved so completely that the question doesn't even make sense anymore. The coolness you feel on your skin isn't out there. It's a sensation appearing here in awareness. The sound of a distant train isn't over there. It's a vibration happening here in the same vast space where a memory of your grandmother's kitchen might also be floating. Everything is internal. And because it's all internal, there's nothing to resist. You can't fight your own nervous system. You can only feel it. In this atmosphere, identity is a story you can pick up or put down like a book. Most of the time now, you just leave it on the shelf. There's no need to read it. You already know how it ends. And without that story running, a beautiful anonymity descends. You walk through your day not as Sarah or John with a history and a future, but as awareness itself, wearing a body, moving through a world that is also made of awareness. It's incredibly light. There's no baggage because there's no one to carry it. Events happen, responses happen, but there's no central character claiming credit or nursing wounds. From this anonymity, action becomes pure gesture. It's art for its own sake. Making a cup of tea isn't about the tea. It's about the ceremony of the boiling water, the steam, the slow infusion of color into the clear liquid. It's a dance. Typing an email is about the click of the keys, the flow of words from silence to screen. Even arguing becomes a kind of dance, a play of energies, of perspectives clashing and merging, but with no one's fundamental worth on the line. It's all just the universe exploring its own possibilities through this particular form. And in this, a deep, unspoken communication begins with everything. You don't just see a tree. You feel its treeness, its patient, vertical reaching, its quiet exchange with light and air. You feel a kinship that needs no words. The same with people. You hear the truth behind their words, the fear singing in a high pitch, the love humming a low, warm tone. You respond to the music, not the lyrics. This makes relationships both simpler and more profound. There's less to talk about, and infinitely more to share. This atmosphere has a color, and the color is acceptance. Not a resigned, oh, all right then, acceptance. A vibrant, alive, active acceptance that is the very engine of reality. It's the yes that the universe is constantly whispering to itself. Pain is accepted. Joy is accepted. Boredom is accepted. They are all just flavors of the one substance. And because you are that substance, you say yes to all of it. This yes is the end of suffering. Not the end of pain, but the end of the war with pain. The war is what hurt. The pain is just a sensation. So, nowhere to go has finally become nothing to be. You don't have to be peaceful. You are peace. You don't have to be present. You are presence. All the spiritual homework is canceled. The striving is over. You are just this, a local eddy in the stream of consciousness, aware of itself as both the eddy and the whole stream. And it's so ordinary, so breathtakingly ordinary. The greatest discovery of your life turns out to be the thing that was always most obvious. You are alive, and being alive is a silent, intelligent, endlessly interesting miracle that requires absolutely nothing from you except to not miss it while you're busy trying to become it. You're not missing it. You're here, and here is everywhere. And everywhere is this soft, dark, loving, intelligent hum that you used to call the fade, but now you know is just the sound of your own true nature, finally heard. Let's just sit with the number for a second, not as a step, but as a feeling, a roundness, a completeness. This is the feeling of the circle closing so perfectly you can't even find the seam where it began. There's no more fading because there's no more contrast. There's no bright light to fade from. There's no dark abyss to fade into. There's just this, a unified field of gentle being. It's not bright, it's not dark. It's the color of awareness itself, which is no color at all, but holds all colors within it. You've moved past the metaphor entirely. The lights weren't just fading, they were being absorbed back into the source. And you are the source. In this, a profound simplicity reigns. The mind, when it flickers on, is like a child's nightlight in a vast, warm, summer night, barely noticeable, casting a tiny, charming glow on a patch of wall, but adding nothing to the essential truth of the dark. You can use it to find the bathroom, to write a grocery list, to solve a practical puzzle. It's a useful tool, but it is no longer the master of the house. The house is vast, quiet, and occupied by something much older and wiser. From this place, the world of form becomes a beautiful, weightless dance. You do your job, you have your conversations, you pay your bills, but it all feels like moving pieces on a board in a game you're playing with a dear friend. There's passion in the play, but no attachment to the outcome. Winning and losing are just different flavors of the same afternoon's entertainment. This is true responsibility showing up fully, playing your part with care and integrity, but knowing at the deepest level that none of it defines what you are. Love here is not an emotion that comes and goes. It is the fundamental force of cohesion. It's gravity. It's what holds the atoms of your experience together. It's why you don't fly apart. It's the silent yes that allows everything to exist. You feel it as a gentle, magnetic pull toward life itself, toward the sprouting leaf, the crying child, the aging face in the mirror. It's a pull without desire. It doesn't want to possess or change anything. It just acknowledges, with a deep, wordless reverence, the fact of its existence. You are, I am, this is. And in this, forgiveness is automatic and complete. It happened when you realized there was never anyone to forgive. The one who hurt you and the one who was hurt were both dream characters in a drama you are no longer dreaming. You look back on the script with a tender, almost nostalgic fondness for the intensity of the plot, but the emotional charge is gone. It's just a story. A good story, maybe. A painful one, but just a story. So what is left? Just the being, the humming, the quiet, vibrant isness of all that is. You have become utterly ordinary. You are a human being doing human things. And yet, within that ordinary human frame, you are also the infinite space in which the entire human experience is floating. You are both the drop and the ocean, and you know it. Not as a belief, but as a felt fact, as obvious as the feeling of your own breath. Nowhere to go has become your permanent address, and you've decorated it with the quiet joy of total acceptance. You are home. You were always home. The decades of searching were just you walking through every room, checking every closet, looking for home, not realizing you were the very walls, the floor, the roof. The search wasn't a mistake. It was the necessary journey to realize there was no need to search. Now there is just this, the sound of these words ending, the pause before the next thought, the gentle, endless, friendly silence that was here before the first word began and will be here after the last one fades. And you are that silence, and I am that silence, and we are just here together in the beautiful, ordinary, miraculous dark. It feels less like a number and more like a sigh, the final, soft release of a breath you didn't know you were holding. This is it, not an answer at the end of a book, but the quiet space after you close the cover. the story is complete. The metaphors have all burned away, like mist under a morning sun that never actually rises, because the light is now coming from within. There is no fading light anymore. There is only luminescence, a soft, self-originating glow that doesn't illuminate objects, but simply is. It is the light of pure awareness, shining because it is its nature to shine, with no object, no goal, no opposite. You are not in this light. You are this light. And because it is you, you no longer perceive it as light. You perceive it as being. Simple, unadorned, undeniable being. From this place, life is not lived, it is allowed. Allowed to flow. The great cosmic joke is fully appreciated. You spent so long trying to live your life when life was always living you. Perfectly, intelligently, messily, beautifully. Your only task was to stop interrupting. And now you have, so life flows. It flows as work, as rest, as conversation, as silence. You are the riverbed, worn smooth, offering no resistance, just direction through your very form. This is where purpose dissolves into poetry. You don't have a purpose. You are a purpose. The purpose of a star is to be a star, to fuse elements, to shine, to eventually go supernova and seed the cosmos with the stuff of planets and life. Your purpose is exactly that grand and that simple, to be what you are. A localized knot of conscious universe, experiencing itself. In doing that completely, everything that needs doing gets done, the comforting, the creating, the repairing, the loving not as a duty, but as the natural expression of a star being a star. And so, this shared journey, these words, this quiet space of NightForm stillness reaches its natural end. Not because the stillness ends, but because the pointer has become unnecessary. You know the way home now. You are home. If this shared exploration of the quiet has been a companion to you, a voice in the dark when your own felt too loud or too lost, then that connection is what this channel is for. This is an open invitation. If you'd like to return to this kind of shared quiet, to be gently reminded that the peace you seek is the very ground you walk on, consider subscribing to NightForm Stillness. It's a simple way to keep a thread of this understanding woven into the tapestry of your daily life. Hit the bell if you'd like a gentle nudge, a whispered reminder to come back to the breath, to the hum, to the home that is always here. And if anything you've heard in this space has felt like a truth you want to pass on a cup of cool water you'd like to offer to someone else who is thirsty, please share it. Pass it along quietly. You never know who might be standing at their own threshold, looking out at the fading lights aching for the courage to realize they have nowhere to go, and that this is the greatest freedom of all. This isn't goodbye. How can you say goodbye to your own self? This is just a recognition, a smile in the mirror. You are the stillness. You are the night form, and you are never, ever alone in it. Thank you for your deeply precious attention. Sarah here, loving you from right here, wishing you the profound and simple joy of discovering, again and again, that you are already everything you've been searching for. Until next time, in the endless, friendly quiet, be gentle, be still, and remember, the light you've been waiting for is the one that's already shining silently within your very own breath.